Damien here showing you an installation of the drop-in drop-out shutters. So Damien's going to start with these U channels that fit Brisbane Shutters DIY. Damien here showing you an installation of the drop-in drop-out shutters. So Damien's going to start with these U channels that fit top and bottom to the window. So he's just going to use 6-gauge screws, the ones that come in a little satchel pack when you have your shutters delivered. So what Damien actually does, he'll align the tracking up at the top. Sometimes it'll be quite firm. So what the idea is, you pin the ends first. That's what Damien's about to do. Once he lines that bit up there. So he just basically screws that in. That's it. Not over tight, because it will pull the channel together and it'll make it hard to fit the shutters later on. Just firm, hold it in position. Now he'll just align that end and pin it. So Damien's pinned that. Now he'll just go along. Brisbane Shutters DIY. Damien here showing you an installation of the drop-in drop-out shutters. So Damien's going to start with these U channels that fit top and bottom to the window. So he's just going to use 6-gauge screws, the ones that come in a little satchel pack when you have your shutters delivered. So what Damien actually does, he'll align the tracking up at the top. Sometimes it'll be quite firm. So what the idea is, you pin the ends first. That's what Damien's about to do. Once he lines. Brisbane Shutters DIY. Brisbane Shutters DIY. Damien here showing you an installation of the drop-in. Brisbane Shutters DIY. Damien here showing you an installation of the drop-in drop-out shutters. So Damien's going to start with these U channels that fit Brisbane Shutters DIY. Damien here showing Brisbane Shutters. Okay, so now what Damien will do, these little blocks that you've checked before in your pre-check, he'll just pop them in. What Damien actually did, you can see the texture marks in here. Brisbane Shutters DIY. Damien here showing to fit them in. Now the blocks go in one way. Damien, you just want to show us which way them blocks go in, mate?
So it goes down.
Yep. Now while Damien's doing that, I'm just going to explain a little handy tip. Damien's laid out his panels, so he's put them in sequence of how he's going to fit them. So as you can see here, this has got a T-piece, a T-piece, a T-piece, and this panel here has no T-piece. Now you need to fit the panel that doesn't have the T-piece so that you can get all the panels in sequence. If you don't do it that way, you won't be able to put your last panel in. So Damien will just demonstrate on how that works. Now the only thing you got to be careful of when you're putting these in, and we'll show you on the next panel, is the T-piece when it fits in at the bottom. So Damien will put the top in, as you can see, just pops that in, and you just got to be careful at the bottom. See that T-piece there? That's it, just pushes it in and it clips in. If you try and force that in, it will actually bend that piece out and damage it. So same thing again, Damien pops the top in, just puts a bit of pressure on, the bottom drops in. He'll do the same on the last panel. Pops the top in, and then he does the same, puts a bit of pressure at the bottom to push it in past that channel. And that's it, all the panels are in. The one thing you do want to have a look at is the alignment to make sure the gaps aren't too big on the end, and we push all the shutters together so there's no gaps in between the shutters and they're nice and firm. And the next step is then we prepare our strips to glue on. So obviously we just remove the tape off the double-sided tape. Now while Damien's doing that, in the pre-check you had a 435 Loctite glue. That'll be used after we've fitted these. So what Damien's doing, he's lining this up and gluing them on so that it sits over on the outside, as you can see. Let's just run his finger down. Okay, so he's glued that one on. Now he'll put the other light strip on. It'll be the same process. It'll sit on the outside of the channel, as you can see. He glues this on. So once you've got it in alignment, that's when you want to put a bit of pressure on it. Until then, like what Damien's done then, he doesn't put a lot of pressure on it. He can pull it off and realign it. Now he's done the same thing at the bottom. He's let it overhang like that. Now the reason for doing that is Damien will now remove these panels, and the 435 glue that you're supplied, what Damien will do is he'll get that glue. Now, sometimes it's a bit easier if you've got something to lean the shutters against. There you go, mate. Now, you don't need much of this glue. It actually welds the two bits of plastic together. And that's it. That's all you really need. Now Damien will go to the other side. It only needs really a small bit of glue on the end, because that's the point where it will catch on that channel. So he just needs to glue that little bit on like that. Now, Damien will just put this panel aside for now before putting it in, just to let that glue set a bit more. And what he'll do is he'll slide the two center panels down to the right so he can get the end panel out. So he just moves it along a little bit. Now that allows him to get a bit of room to pull that end panel out, and he'll follow the same process as what he did a second ago. So what he'll do now, he'll put a small dab of 435 glue, which will weld this strip to the actual shutter. So with his rags, wipe off a little bit of there. Okay. That's why it's handy to have the rags, just in case there's little spills, you can quickly clean it and it's not a problem. So just put a little bit on there. Yep. Then he's just going to glue that back in there. Yeah, Damien will probably just put this one aside while he pops the other shutter in. Oh, sorry, yes. Damien will put this one in first, so when he puts the last shutter in, he'll be able to get it in. Otherwise, if he puts it the other way around, it won't go in. So this is the same principle here. We'll just go down the bottom, put a bit of pressure on it. That's it. It will go together. Now we just pop this last panel in. Same process. Puts it in at the top first. Put a little bit of pressure on it sometimes. That's it. Sometimes they're a little bit fiddly to get in. It could be just the screws that have pulled the channel in a bit tight. Same thing, pressure on there. Okay, now, as you can see, that actually sits on the underside of the channel. The reason Damien did it the way he did was so that the alignment of the light strip would be even from top to bottom, and then you could take it out and put that glue on to make sure it's welded and in position. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. We go around now and look for any gaps, which that panel there, Damien, maybe. So there's a small gap. No, this,
Oh,
there's just a small gap there. Go around and then yeah, just seal off any gaps. And that's pretty much the installation.